What's up, everybody? This is the Bro Stranger here, and today we're doing our second ever Q&A here on the channel for 2,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we'll reach 2.5k by the end of the year. The first Q&A was so much fun to record, even though not a lot of people watched it. I don't know, hopefully people like this one. Our first question comes from Melon Smash. If you were to introduce someone to Transformers, what do you think would be the best introduction to the series? I'd say Transformers 1. Transformers 1, I took a lot of my friends to go see it, and they said, even though they're not super big Transformers fans, that, you know, it did a really good job explaining a lot of lore tidbits. Like, my friends who aren't into Transformers at all are like, oh yeah, the Age of Wrath, yeah, the Quintessons, oh yeah, the 13 Primes, like, stuff that nerdy, like, obscure comic knowledge in Transformers. And getting to witness the fall, like, it is the perfect intro because it is the beginning of Transformers, so to speak. I really hope we get another one, as well as the Transformers Skybound comics. They are phenomenal. It is so easy to get into, and I highly recommend getting into them now before it gets too complicated. IDW span out around 17 years, and it got harder and harder, the reading order, and that's just how comics work. That's just the industry. When you have a story going on that long, inevitably it's going to get confusing. Right now, Skybound is a straight line. You start with issue 1 of Transformers, and you end with issue 20 of Transformers, with a few Energon Universe specials in between, as well as Void Rivals. Void Rivals is also very easy to get into, and it's just issue 1 all the way up to the current issue. And you don't really need to read any of that other stuff in order to understand what's going on in Transformers, at least not yet. So I highly recommend just doing that. You could probably knock it out in like a weekend if you really want to, because it's only 20 issues. Each issue would probably only take you around 10 minutes to finish, depending on how fast you are at reading. His second question is, what do you think was the best redesign in Transformers? I'd say the best redesign is the War for Cybertron games, without a doubt. Rage2 asks, what is your favorite obscure Transformers G1 and G2 character? I'd probably say Darkwing. I'm pretty sure he's G2. I could be wrong. Mostly just because of Transformers 1 now, and having, you know, that kind of legacy character. Go from like really obscure, nobody knows who this random seeker is character to one of the main antagonists of Transformers 1. So yeah, I'd say him. And then for G1, obviously Cosmos, my favorite Transformer of all time. Burry asks, what made me start this channel? So originally I was a 12-year-old with an iPad, and I just wanted to record everything. I thought I had so much interesting stuff to say. I would just basically vlog or make videos on random games I found that I just thought was interesting. And obviously a lot of those videos were terrible, but I really did kind of have a passion for it. But then I quit because I was spending years at it. I just went like, I'm not getting anywhere. No one really cares, and I'm not really proud of the videos I'm making. But I enjoyed the editing process so much. And then I started uploading randomly. I was like, what if I took this kind of style of editing that I've developed, just me playing with my friends in like custom games and editing those best moments and inside jokes. What if I did that but Transformers? I took that kind of skill set and applied it to that. I made like some kind of interesting videos, and I had kind of like a second wind where I was like, oh, this is really fun. I really enjoy making videos again, like when I was a kid. And eventually I was like, I want to make bigger and better videos, and the culmination of that is my IDW Cosmos retrospective comic dub video. I made videos that, in my opinion, I just kind of sat there and was like, man, this would be a really cool video. I wish someone would make this a video, or I wish someone would talk about this in the Transformers community. And Reactivate really pushed me to make more content, because it's like, if Reactivate comes out, that's a brand new Transformers game, getting in on the ground floor. It's like if you were a content creator like Sumungri back when Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron came out. It was just that big boom, and I just thought it would be so much fun playing with the community and just building an audience like that. Unfortunately, Reactivate didn't come out, but I wouldn't say it was a complete loss, because while Reactivate was kind of my big star, I found an audience in other stuff, talking about comics, talking about newer Transformers games, news in the community, and you know, with minimal controversy, which honestly, YouTubers nowadays, seems like that's impossible, but you know, me going up against another creator on the site, disagreeing or sharing my opinion that they didn't like, honestly, I think I'm doing pretty good. I don't think those are that bad. And honestly, it's all in good fun anyways. I just like debating people. I hold no ill will towards anyone who, you know, left a mean comment. And if it seems like I'm ever in the comment section, like defending myself to the last breath, like dying on a point, it's because I genuinely like having conversations. The comments are my favorite part. I love debating people. Just know I'm doing it with like a big smile on my face. Someone has a problem with a point I made in the video, or how I edited something, or maybe I got something wrong and I need to clarify it, or maybe they got something wrong and then they take something from it and like, oh, well, I didn't look at it this way, or I didn't know that, thanks for the additional context. And it's one of my favorite aspects of it. So yeah, besides, I like to think that I came out on top in the end. Oof, copyright abuse, huh? What are you, the Quantum TV of the Transformers community now? I hold no ill will towards anybody. I love this community so much. How long have you had this channel? 10 years, going on 11 now. How long do you plan to continue this channel realistically? Realistically, as long as I'm able. If I'm in the hospital hooked up to a bunch of machines and I'm becoming a cyborg or whatever, but I'm still able to press record, drag a gameplay of Fall of Cybertron into the editing software, and then commentate over it or talk about what's going on with Transformers or the newest movie or game, I will, because genuinely something I've been passionate about for my entire life, and I'm just glad that I kind of have a voice in the community and I'm able to do that. Anyways, rapid fire on Arnold Cookie Down. What do you think about Haslab? Is it justified, or is it a way to use FOMO against us? I'm assuming you mean like Haslab Unicron, Omega Prime, where they ask for donations to fund projects. I mean, they're like a huge company, so asking you to donate money to get figures that they don't think would sell well normally is a bit for me personally, especially because they're like, oh, well, if you spend up to $100, you get the figure, but then if you keep spending, you get the guns, which we weren't going to make anyways unless enough people bought that tier, or we weren't even going to paint him, or he comes with a mini-con if you do that. That's a little scummy, in my opinion. I'm not a toy guy, so maybe that's just normal. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid for thinking that. What do you think about the skeleton combiner system? I've only really seen Legacy Menasor and the Stunticons do that, and for him it kind of makes sense because that was like G1 accurate. I think the aerial bots might be doing that. It's not the worst, and I feel like that's kind of one of the main ways that they kind of got to do it. Either that, or they could do what they do in the past where they transform the vehicle mode and the vehicle mode changes slightly to become a foot or an arm or a torso or a head. I'm not against it. It's not the worst thing in the world. I don't really know the drawbacks. I know it looks a little bit silly. I think it really works for Menasor though, because that's just legit. He's just a bigger version of Motormaster with a different head in the G1 cartoon. And then the cars kind of just slap to his thighs or his forearms, so I think it's pretty cool. But, you know, if you think it's lazy, then yeah, it might be a little bit lazy, but I don't see a problem with it. What do you think about Blokees? I don't really care for it. I don't really like figures that can't transform. Very rarely will I ever pick one up, and usually it's because it has some other gimmick that makes up for it not being able to turn into a car. So, I don't know. What do you think about Funko Pops? Have you played every Transformers game that's been released? If not, which one do you need to try? I have played just about every Transformers game that ever existed. I own almost every port of every game. Transformers Reactivate. Transformers Universe, I'd love to play that, but unfortunately the servers got shut down. There was someone working on it, but unfortunately he is taking a break from the project or is abandoning it. If anyone can find a way, I think we need to look more into Transformers Universe, get that up and running. Easier said than done, 100%, but I think people really need to play this game. It looks so cool. It's not even my type of game, but it just looks like so much fun. The character designs are great. They're just better Prime designs, in my opinion. Like, Bumblebee has horns. He should just always have horns. His design looks so bad in Prime. I can't watch Prime anymore. I can't watch Prime because when Bumblebee shows up and he's missing the horns, it looks like they forgot it, like it's an animation error. But no, he just doesn't have horns. He looks so much better with the horns. I'm freaking out. Sorry. What's your ideal Transformers game? Transformers has tried first-person shooters. They've tried third-person shooters. They've tried side-scrolling games. They've tried open world games. I think in 2010, High Moon really mastered a formula. It took a really long time to understand what made a good Transformers game, but when High Moon, a lot of other games like the Armada PS2 game, the Transformers Bayverse games, really understood that Transformers should always be third person because, you know, it's part driving game, you know, it's a racing game, but it's also a giant mech game, and you want to be able to see your giant robot and have a sense of scale, whether you're on Cybertron, whether you're on Earth. No matter where you are, you need that kind of sense of scale in order to sell the mech game, kind of like Titanfall or Armored Core, action adventure for a person over the shoulder shooter game. If you could pitch for a Transformers show that doesn't take place on Earth, what would it be? A gritty, dark Transformers Shattered Glass show that really goes into why these characters are so different from their original counterparts, like Optimus being evil, Megatron being good guy, Starscream being heroic and not self-serving and willing to do sacrifices, Bumblebee, aka the best character, one of the best characters in Transformers, Shatterglass Goldbug, being this Napoleon ego-driven megalomaniac that I absolutely adore, who just believes in his own hype a bit too much for his own good. I absolutely love Shatterglass, IDW, Goldbug. I would do a Last Stand of the Wreckers movie or show. Maybe both of those could be on Netflix. Last but not least, I would have a Star Seeker show, or Star Raiders, whatever they're called now, which is essentially the Transformers version of just a bunch of space pirates. And I would really dig in. The first episode is just their world being destroyed by the Rust Plague and Sentinel Prime leaving them for dead, essentially. I think that is so much potential. They've not used the Star Seekers, the Star Raiders in any media outside of comic books like BotCon. I think there's a lot of missed opportunity and potential there for a show like that. Just, you know, a more mature, but also a very silly space pirate show where they hate Cybertronians and they themselves are Transformers. Like, you could have Cosmos, you could have Thundertron, you could have all these different characters, Skybite, and their ship could be like Tidal Wave or something. There's so much potential there. That's just kind of Hasbro in a nutshell. Missed opportunity, squandered potential. What's your favorite episode from your favorite Transformers series? My favorite Transformers series is Transformers Animated, and if I were to pick an episode, I don't know if I'd be able to, but it would be Human Error Part 1 and Part 2. I'm counting it as just one big episode. I know that's cheating, but I like seeing the Autobots, you know, running around Detroit in human bodies, and they're like, what the hell are these for? And they like use Transformers terminology instead of legs. They're like, our stabilizing servos, Automen, transform and roll out. I just thought that was like really funny, and like I loved Soundwave in that episode. Soundwave, that is one of my favorite interpretations of the character, is where he is this techno revolutionist, like kind of Terminator-esque character, saying that humanity should serve the machines or die. I think that's really interesting. I'm really sad that more wasn't done with that. If Transformers Animated were to continue, I'd have him learn about Cybertron, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't know about it, and he'd learn that the Decepticons were cast out from Cybertron, and then maybe he would go to Cybertron, but he'd be deemed a criminal even though he was made a Decepticon, and that's not really fair. And I'd really show like the inequality and, like, you know, have like like a sympathetic Decepticon because he sees so much beauty in this world that he is unwelcome. And maybe that drives him more to being a Decepticon, or maybe that drives him more to being less Decepticon so he can fit in, but also just wanting to build a better world for people, kind of like how he did in the IDW comics with Sanctuary, where faction doesn't matter. As long as you're there for peace and to help everybody, you're good. That or the final episode of Transformers Animated, it was perfect. The only reason I want season 4 is because I genuinely think the story was going to get even better from there on out. But before I knew that, I went, what a perfect ending to a Transformers series, to a show in general. But if I can put an honorable mention here, I'd say Thief in the Night is one of my favorite G1 episodes. Triptychon in this country called Cambodia, and he steals 7 wonders of the world and priceless treasures around the world. The Taj Mahal and like the Statue of Liberty and the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and it's just such a fun episode. So I probably have to say that. What's my favorite Shockwave design? Really weird take. Transformers Energon had a character called Shock Blast because they didn't have the rights to the character Shockwave as a name. I really loved Shock Blast. I might do a video on him because when he dies in Energon, as a kid, I was watching on YouTube because someone re-uploaded all of it, and I was genuinely upset that Shockwave died because Optimus had such emotion. Like, he was like, you're crazy, and you did kill a lot of people, but you don't have to listen to Megatron. You know, he's using you. Shock Blast seems like he's maybe almost coming around, and then Megatron steps on the planet where Shock Blast is, and it crushes him, and it reverts back to, instead of this blocky 3D model, and they animate it like the previous show to show like him dying, and it's really brutal. And then later they just replace him, and there's a character that is almost identical. He breaks out of the same prison. He was in the cell next to him, except he's orange and red, and he's called Six Shot, and he was Shock Blast's brother. He tries betraying Megatron, and then he dies getting punched to death by like Galvatron. So didn't like that, but I love Shock Blast, and I think Shock Blast has one of the best Shockwave designs in my opinion. That and Hearts of Steel. What kind of game do you think the next big Transformers game should be? Whatever Saber Interactive's working on, I actually trust them on like Splash Damage. They've released really good games in the past, like Space Marine, so I trust Saber Interactive. Whatever they think is best. I think if they just take the Space Marine formula and apply it to Transformers, you have a winner. What inspired you to make content, and what got you into Transformers? The 2007 Michael Bay movie, my brother burned off a disc, blank CD. We pirated the 2007 movie in like 08, but I fell in love with the movie. But the thing is, he was so passionate about it. He loved the Decepticons. I wanted to learn more about Transformers because that was like one of the big things we had in common, is we both love Transformers because he introduced me to it. So I did everything in my power to learn everything I could about Transformers, learn all their names. I watched all the shows. I went back, watched G1. I did everything to learn about Transformers because I genuinely loved it. Like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't get introduced and Transformers didn't exist. I guess I'd like Marvel or Pokemon more, but I don't think I'd like it as much as I do Transformers. Transformers holds such a special place in my heart because of that. It was something for me and my brother to bond over. So yeah, I absolutely adore Transformers. It means the world to me, and I read the comics when I was in high school, and that's how I got into the comics. Who's your favorite character to do an impression of? Orion Prime. Cosmos. Cosmos is the most fun character to do an impression of. When's Rocko getting his channel? He usually just bites me. He's still a puppy. He's barely a year old now, I'm pretty sure, so he doesn't know that you shouldn't bite people. Although, you know, it's kind of like a playful bite. He usually doesn't hurt you too bad. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I could take him outside, record him eating people, committing war crimes. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Guys, let me know, what would you want Rocko to post on his channel? Who's your favorite female Transformer? Mine is Air Razor. I'm so tempted to say Transmutate. You know what? It's Nautica. Nautica is my favorite female Transformer. She's from the IDW comics. She is very fun and just like a really good character. And as for the last question, of the Q&A. What does your collection look like? I'm gonna throw up a picture on screen. Here's what my collection looks like. I've gotten a lot more figures since then, like Reactivate Bumblebee. I've gotten Legacy Turn. I bought like so many thrift store finds of figures. That's gonna do it for Q&A 2.0. Thank you guys so much for watching. When I first started getting traction on videos and people subscribed and actually started leaving comments, it literally makes my day. I can't tell you how happy it makes me that someone gets interested in one of the comics because of me. They get informed on like a new game or show in Transformers, or you know, maybe I have an unpopular opinion and they want to debate me on it. BotBots is a top 10 Transformers show, dare I say a top 7 Transformers show. You can fight me on that. I might make a video on how great BotBots is, but yeah, I got some new videos in the works. They're just taking forever. And I'm currently moving, so it's gonna take me a bit to get back on the horse, and Transformers is as dry as the Sahara Desert. Luckily, I still got a few good ideas. Anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for all your amazing questions. Let's try to get to 2.5K by the end of the year. Bye guys.